So I've got a money question for you. Let's say you have two friends who both work at the same place. They work at a restaurant called Thrasher's. Your friend Selma has been working there for 3 months. She makes $9.50 an hour. Your friend Jim has worked there for 6 months. He makes $10.25 an hour. Let's suppose at this restaurant Thrasher's, everybody who works there starts at the same salary and everybody gets the same raise every month, and it's a steady raise. Well, I have some questions for you. How much is that raise every month? What kind of a raise do employees here get every month? Another question. What's the starting salary at this place? If we were to know this is a steady, it changes by a steady amount, we can make a basic prediction. It's probably going to be between $8 an hour to $9 an hour. But I want it exactly. Can you tell me the exact starting salary of an employee here? And what about an employee who's worked here for a year? What if somebody's been working here for 12 months? We could kind of eyeball it and say, oh, they're probably making around $11 to $12 an hour. I want the exact answer. And as a matter of fact,
So to really be able to analyze this same situation here with our friends Selma and Jim, you need to learn a very important skill in Algebra 2. The goal for today is we are going to be able to write a line whenever we're given two of its points. So we have the same word problem here. Selma after 3 months is making $9.50 an hour. Jim after 6 months is making $10.25 an hour. Here we've written these as points. We're going to write the equation of the line that passes through these 2 points. And once you can write down that equation, you'll be able to analyze the situation for any employee, no matter how long they have worked there. But the main goal is we want to be able to take these 2 points, write the equation of the line that passes through them. So we're going to break this into steps. Step number 1, we're going to find the slope of this line using this slope formula. Now our 2 points, we're going to label these. Our first point, we're going to actually call this x1 and y1. Our second point, we're going to label these x2 and y2. Now notice these are called subscripts. They're written below the x and below the y. And it's really just a way of distinguishing that this is our first x value and this is our second x value. It's not like an exponent or anything like that. It's not going to change the value of the numbers. It's just this is the first x, this is the first y, the second x, and the second y. But we're going to plug these values into this formula to find the slope. So the slope says take the second y value minus the first x value. We're going to take the 1025 minus the 950. And let's go ahead and subtract these. That comes out to a difference of 75 cents. Now if you're paying attention, this is really just the difference between their two wages right now. Now in our formula now we take the second x value minus the first x value, the 6 minus the 3. And if you and 6 minus 3 is 3. Now if you think about this in the context of the word problem, this is the difference in how many months Jim and Selma have worked. Now when we divide, we get the slope of 0.25. And I'm going to put a box around that because that's not the final answer, but that is a very important answer that we need. Listen, this is how much of a raise they get every month. When you work at Thrasher's, every month that you work, you get a 25-cent raise. Okay, it's 75 cents every 3 months, so break that down to 1 month, it would be 25 cents for every 1 month. And you know, you could write this as a fraction. A lot of times we say, well, you should write slope as a fraction. Okay, and if you were trying to graph it, maybe you would. But in this particular case, in this kind of situation, a lot of times we'll just write it like this without the fraction. Okay, so that's step number 1. And by the way, make sure you're taking really good notes on this. You need a piece of paper writing down these steps. This is going to show up again and again and again for the rest of this bundle here. So step number 2, now we're going to plug x1, y1, and m into this equation, y equals mx plus b. So we just found m. M is 0.25. But we're also going to take the x1 and the y1 that we had up here at the beginning. x1 is 3. We're going to plug that in for x. y1 is 950. We're going to plug that in for y. And then the b, we're just going to leave it b for the time being. So this is the second step. Our third step then is we are going to solve for b. You know, we've plugged in these values that we do know. We know what the slope is, m. We have an x value and a y value that we can use. We can use this now to solve for b. 25 cents times 3 is 0.75. And then if I want to solve for b now, I'm just going to subtract 0.75, 75 cents from each side. Comes out to 8.75. And again, I'm going to put a box around this. That's not my final answer, but it's a very important answer. Now let's put this into context. This is how much you start. If you are a brand new employee starting at Thrashers, you're going to make $8.75 an hour. And as a matter of fact, we know that b is the y-intercept. It's where an equation, a line crosses the y-axis. But it's also, in the context of a word problem, it's always going to be the starting point of your word problem. In this case, how much do employees make starting off? Off the bat, they make $8.75 when they work at Thrashers. Likewise, I'm going to go back to slope real quick. We know that m is called the slope, but in a word problem, it's going to really represent the raise each. Now, in this case, it was months. It could also be a raise each year, at each day, depending upon how the problem is worded. In this case, that's how much of a raise you get each month. Right, so if you have a wage that you know starts at $8.75, and then every month it goes up by 25 cents, well, that's going to lead us to the final step. Our final step is we're going to be able to take these two important numbers, m and b, plug them into our equation. So we're going to take our 0.25 and plug it in for m, and our 8.75 and plug it in for b. Whoops, 8.75. Now we're going to leave the x and the y alone, and this is our final answer. This is the equation of the line that passes through both of our original points, and it's the only line that will go through both of them. Okay, so this is our final answer. This is how we write our final answer. Now let's go back to the graph and see what's the significance of being able to find this equation, this final answer.
Once you learn how to write the equation of a line, let's type in our answer here that we got. It was a 25-cent raise. That was the slope. It started at $8.75 an hour. Once you learn to write the equation of a line through 2 points, now you don't just have two of the answers. Now we have all of the answers. We have the beginning salary here. We have how much they make after 1 month, $9 an hour. After 2 months, $9.25. We of course still have the 3 and the 6, but now we can go all the way to a year in advance. After 1 year, the employees here would be making $11.75. Writing the equation of a line, you start with just two of the answers, but once you've written the equation, now you have all of the answers.
So I'd like you to try on your own now. Here is a check problem. It's a word problem. A used motorcycle depreciates in value linearly from $7,500 after 4 years to only $5,900 after 6 years. Write the equation of the line passing through these 2 points. Use years for x and value for y. Go ahead and I'm going to have you pause in a second. I want you to try this on your own. Try to find this equation, and let me help you get started. So our points here, we need to use years for x. We're going to, at 4 years, it's worth $7,500. After 6 years, it's only worth $5,900. This is going down in value. So x1, y1, x2, y2. Go ahead and hit pause. When you unpause, you'll have the solution. Go ahead and give this a shot. And here is our final solution. This is how we write our final answer. Now notice, the value of this motorcycle was going down. That's why our slope came out negative. When you do 5,900 minus 7,500, you get a negative answer. It goes down $1,600 over 2 years, which is it goes down $800 a year. When you solve for B, you get 10,700. That would be the original value of the motorcycle. Put it all together, it looks like this. Let's actually switch over. Let's take a look at this on a graph, see what this looks like on a graph.
So here is the check problem graphically. Here's the value of the motorcycle after 4 years, after 6 years. Well, look, once you find the equation of that line, well, now you can find its value after any number of years and its original value, as well as when it's going to be completely worthless. This is kind of our prediction. Hey, after about 13 and a half years, it's going to be completely worthless.
All right, finally, here is the first question on your assignment. Here, I'm giving you a free answer. Let's work through this one together. And I wanted to point out something with negative signs. All right, so I need to find this line. Start by finding my slope. Now you'll notice when you take your second y minus your first y, 6 minus negative 6, what happens when you subtract a negative number? Well, I'll tell you. When you subtract a negative number, it's the same as adding. So 6 minus negative 6 is the same as 6 plus 6. Okay? In other words, if you were to look at these on a graph, they're 12 spaces apart from each other. If you go from a negative 6 all the way up to a positive 6, that's a difference of 12. Okay, so that's why it works that way. Now likewise, we take our second x minus our first x. It'll be 1 minus negative 2. That comes out to, that's the same as 1 plus 2. That comes out to 3. Okay, so our slope, or m value, on our first question is just 4, this whole number 4. I am going to plug that 4 in for m into y equals mx plus b, along with my x1 and my y1. I'm going to put the negative 2, my x1, negative 2, I'm going to put in place of x. I'm going to put my y1, negative 6, in place of y. And I'm going to use that to solve for b. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. So when I solve for b, I'm going to get positive 2 for b. All right, and then final step, step 4. Now, once I have my slope, which is 4, and my y-intercept, my b value, which is 2, I'm going to write it like this. That is my final answer. One last time, let's take a look at this on a graph, see what this looks like on a graph.
And here for you visual learners, here is our first question from the assignment with a visual look at it on a graph, just so you can check your answer, make sure it works. Here's our 2 points. And here is the equation, the answer that we found. We can check it. You can see that when we graph that equation, it is the one and only line that will pass through both of those points. All right, so hey, that should get you a good start on this. Best of luck on your assignment, and let me know if you need any help. Bye.